Back by popular demand, bitches.
Rude.
Well, we got one tweet, but we are back. It's the UEFA Champions League review show with me and Christopher Hamill, who's stolen my seat, by the way.
This is my seat. Telling me FD squad.
I'm not so sure. Anyway, we're firstly looking at Monaco 6, Manchester City 6. What an aggregate score. 3-1 to Monaco on the night in the Principality. Hamster, tell him all about it.
Yes, they ran riot in the tax-free haven. It was c'était génial from the French team. Particularly in the first half, mate. They had 6 shots in the first half to Manchester City's 0. They ran riot in that midfield. Bakayoko, Bernardo Silva, Fabinho in particular. Fernandinho did not know where his head was at.
Yeah.
He was... looked like he'd had, 10 glasses of the old vino, mate.
He probably had.
Anyway, let me read you a few stats of the players I just mentioned. Bernardo Silva on the night, 91% pass accuracy, 2 chances created, 2 take-ons, 2 interceptions, and 1 assist.
Mental.
Benjamin Mendy as well. Props to the left back. He is an absolute beast.
He is amazing.
100% of his take-ons completed, 7 crosses. He's got better whippage than Giggsy boy. 5 interceptions, 4 tackles, and 1 assist.
Incredible.
And that was Fabinho's 10th goal of the season from defensive midfield.
Doesn't happen.
Some of these stats are absolutely chicken oriental, mate. But as good as Monaco were in the first half, Manchester City were as good for the first 30 minutes, let's say, to be diplomatic. But you're going to take me through that, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, I didn't think Man City were great. I think, like you said, they had a 30-minute spell in the middle of the game. But other than that, very, very poor. Pep Guardiola will be fuming. This is the first time he's exited the Champions League before the semi-final stage. There goes that fantastic record. And he's only got himself to blame, in my opinion. He got his tactics badly, badly wrong. Fernandinho as a lone pivot in midfield, awful in the first half, completely overrun, like you said, by Bernardo Silva, by Bakayoko, by Fabinho. He had Lamar coming in from one side and Mbappe dropping deep. He was in all sorts of trouble. And it didn't happen until the second half when KDB got moved back into
much more solid after that.
into defensive midfield alongside him, where they were so much better. In that first half, there was no transition play. KDB and Silva barely touched the ball, therefore the front three barely touched the ball. Silva, Sane and Aguero had just 2 touches in the opposition penalty area in the first 45 minutes.
That's grim.
Like you said, second half completely different. Man City had 6 shots, dominated, and if it wasn't for Sergio Aguero's uncharacteristically poor finishing, they should have got something out of the game. He missed 3 clear-cut chances. 2 of them he really should have buried. One where it's a great cutback from Leroy Sane and he blazed it over the bar. Now, Leroy Sane has been in great form. He was a constant thorn in that Monaco side. He's got 4 goals in his last 6 appearances in all competitions. He's big, he's strong, he's a fantastic dribbler on the ball. He finds it easy to go past people, slightly more so than Raheem Sterling, who didn't have his best day, although he was very good for the goal. He came inside, tested Subasic, who palmed it out, and Sané tapped into an open net.
I don't think much to Subasic.
No.
His distribution on the night was shocking.
Yeah, distribution
more
very
kicks
poor.
in the dugout.
And he wasn't the best at home, obviously made a massive, massive mistake at the Etihad as well. But you've got to say, Pep Guardiola will be fuming, Leonardo Jardim will be buzzing because he's going through to a quarter-final place against some of the biggest teams in Europe and Leicester.
Really good for the French coefficient as well.
Yeah,
PSG
very good
out,
for the French coefficient.
Leicester, come on you foxes.
That could well be one of the best aggregate scores I've ever seen in the Champions League. Monaco 6, Man City 6.
Yeah, what a round of what a round of 16.
I know, what a round of 16. So many goals. We're going to talk about a few more in a second.
Up next, Gingers, Atletico versus Leverkusen. Let's keep this nice and short as they played out a 0-0 draw. Now, Diego Simeone, Mr. Consistency, isn't he? He's qualified for the last 4 Champions League quarter-finals on the bounce. The Roji Blancos get it done by any means. But Leverkusen, with their new manager, had a lot to play for, pride being one, and obviously the new manager wants to stamp his authority on the team and execute a game plan, to show he can execute a game plan at that level, having come from Kaiserslautern. But yeah, they had 56% possession, the Germans, so the majority of the ball. We know that Atletico aren't possession whores.
True.
But what they don't do is concede a lot of shots, and last night they conceded 18.
That's a lot for
uncharacteristic for them, but ultimately Leverkusen's finishing let them down, and Jan Oblak, the big fucking wall, with that quad save, just kept them at bay, didn't he, mate?
He did. I mean, Atletico are very strong at the back. We know this. They've kept 17 clean sheets in the last 20 UEFA Champions League games.
That is crazy.
It's no surprise they go deep with statistics like that. But like you said, Jan Oblak, what a keeper. He could potentially be amongst the top 3 or 4 best keepers in world football at this point. 6 saves, 1 cross claim, 5 accurate long balls. And of his 6 saves, 4 of them came in about 4 seconds because they were outrageous. He was flinging himself left, flinging himself right, like a gymnast at Cirque du Soleil.
Casper Schmeichel numbers, mate.
I know. Oh, come on. But Jan Oblak honestly was absolutely outrageous in this game. It's no surprise it was a clean sheet, but the damage was really done in the away leg. Atleti got their 4 away goals, and from then on, it was always going to be an uphill struggle for Leverkusen. Obviously, they got rid of Roger Schmidt earlier in the week after they got pumped by Borussia Dortmund
big
for 6.
Call. Yeah.
And they brought in Tayfun Korkut, like you said, from Kaiserslautern. He resigned in 2016. In he came, and he'll be pretty happy with this. A draw away at Atletico Madrid. Yeah. He knew he was never going to go through, didn't ship a goal. Got a 1-1 draw on the weekend against Werder Bremen. Look, Leverkusen fans, you must have known you weren't going to win this game, so 0-0 could have been a lot worse. Hear ye, hear ye, we doth head to the Shakespearean town of Leicester, where Craig Shakespeare's Foxes are having a party with Jamie Vardy after spanking Sevilla in the Champions League. Tell us all about it.
What a different game this was to the one played out at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan, where Leicester lost 2-1 massively. Leicester actually outshot Sevilla on the night at the King Power, 13-11. Jesus. Compare that to the 22 shots they conceded against Sevilla away in Spain, and you can see that the defence were tighter, they pressed higher, and basically I think the system worked much better, especially with Okazaki just behind Jamie Vardy. He really linked midfield to attack, which Leicester have struggled with, especially with Musa in the team at various points throughout this season. That work rate really brought Vardy into the game, and it enabled them to press that back 3 that caused a lot of damage in the first leg. Basically, Okazaki had pressed Nzonzi, Mahrez in that advanced wing role would have pressed the split centre-back, and maybe Vardy would take Rami on the other side. And it meant that Sevilla had to take a lot more risks. They were a lot looser in possession, and you can see that with the stats I've got down here. They lost the ball 31 times this game. In comparison to that's 10 more times than they lost it at home. And Leicester only lost the ball 18 times. I mean, you've got to have the ball to lose it. They finished on 29% possession. But in the first half, Leicester actually equalled that. I think it was about 50-50. They're also on the receiving end of 27 tackles, Sevilla. So Leicester were really going for it. Obviously putting in that work rate that we saw in the second half against Sevilla. But that was 5 more than they dished out. So they were being out-tackled. They were looser on the ball, and Leicester were pressing really well. But around the 75-minute mark, it did look like they were likely to concede. Take over.
It was around the 75th minute, wasn't it, that the sending off occurred. Questionable, to say the least. Jamie Vardy, why are you rolling around on the floor? Because it's floppage central. There's no need for it.
He's bought it.
I know they both got yellows, but there's only one man lying on the floor. But you know what, Jamie? I'm going to allow it because everybody hates the snake that is Samir Salazar-Nasri. But up to that point, he was the best player on the pitch. And he was the best player on the pitch in the first leg as well. He had 10% of possession in the second leg, and in the first leg was a real orchestrator towards the 22 shots that Sevilla had. When he was sent off, Riyad Mahrez took over. 4 chances created, 4 dribbles, 6 tackles, and the assist for the opening goal. It was him, and of course, Casper Schmeichel, that really saw this game over the line. Saved his second penalty of the 2 legs. Crucial stuff. And Zonzi, a terrible penalty though. Yeah, it was a fucking awful penalty. No wonder Peter Schmeichel in the stands was doing backflips. You have to say Casper Schmeichel probably saw them through, but Craig Shakespeare is going to be bloody delighted. And now Leicester stand a chance of winning the Champions League. I'll be honest. I'm hearing Buffon coming out and saying we don't want to play Leicester. I'm hearing Bayern players saying we don't want to play Leicester. It's going to be interesting to see who they draw. Tonight, I think the draw is, because then I genuinely think they could get through to a semi-final. If they draw Monaco, or if they draw even someone like Dortmund, I think it could happen. I think they get battered by Barca. They get battered by Bayern.
I think they could give anyone a game at home.
Yeah.
I'll go as far as to say that, but their pedigree and their nous means that they might struggle away from home.
Yeah.
So I think to stand a chance, they need the second leg to be at home. I'm going to say that.
So there we have it. But what do you think? Can Leicester actually win the Champions League? Vote in the poll that's floating above Chris's head right now.
Last but not least, it is the old lady who swept aside Porto 3-0 on aggregate take over.
Yeah, Max Allegri must be absolutely delighted. Juve making it look very, very easy. Got the away goals they needed in Portugal, of course. Came back, kept another clean sheet to make it 3-0 on aggregate. By far the better team. And it was a real damp squib, I'll be honest, especially after Pereira got sent off in about the 40th minute. From then on, kind of like the Atletico Madrid game, not much happened other than Dybala netting a penalty. All 4 of his last 4 goals in the competitions have been from the spot. We're going to start calling him Penlo Dybala at this stage to rival Alexandra Lacapelle. Not quite good, not quite as good as it, but Lacazette loves the penalty as well. Nevertheless, he was probably man of the match. He's a hell of a talent. Yeah. We all know at this stage. His combinations with Higuain are mesmeric at times. 4 dribbles, 4 shots, 3 key passes, 50 passes overall. Such a threat going forward, links so well with the midfield as well. And at the back, Juventus, as you'd expect, extremely strong. 2 experienced heads in Dani Alves and Leonardo Bonucci, both completed 100 passes. Jesus. That's how dominant they were in this game. And you have to say, Max Allegri couldn't have asked for much more. I think they're a serious proposition in that quarterfinals. Nobody is going to want to face them, especially at home.
Yeah, I'd love to see them win it. I think Gigi Buffon, of all people in football, deserves it. And how Italian is that? 2 defenders completing over 100 passes. They just know how to see a game out, don't they? Never mind the fans paying X amount to see, you know, some lovely football on display. Let's just suck all the life out of the game and go through. Anyway, even without that 2-0 deficit, Joseph, this would have been a huge ask for Porto. Juve have faced the fewest shots, that's 54, and conceded the fewest goals out of all the teams who have reached the quarterfinals in this competition. 2 goals.
2?
2.
That can't
be
right.
What a miserly defence. Well, with the likes of Chiellini, Bonucci, Barzagli, you'd expect those ridiculous numbers. They're also unbeaten in the last 21 home games in the competition, winning 12 and drawing 9, so that Stadio d'Alpi is becoming a bit of a fortress, isn't it, to say the very least. But on a more positive note for the Portuguese, 35-year-old Iker Casillas, a legend of the game, overtook Paolo Maldini's appearances in this competition on 175, now becoming the top appearance maker in said Champions League. So a big well done to him. Yeah, he deserves it. Clap him, clap him. But my only positive note about Porto was the performance of Yacine Brahimi, who completed 7 dribbles on the night. Perennial thorn down that left-hand side in Juve's arse, but not much to shout about for the away fans.
Not much at all.
Although they did hand the Juve fans a scarf, which got a bit of traction on Twitter, didn't it?
Handed them a scarf.
Well done for the sporting gesture. Although I've heard he's head of their ultras.
Oh, really? Wow. Boring game, boring summary. Suck it up. But it's the big one tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yes, Manchester United versus Rostov in the competition that matters. It's the Europa League. Wow, I'm excited. I'm sure all of you guys at home are excited as well.
Yes, and when you've stopped watching that pile of shit 20 minutes in, come and watch Stat Wars, where this week I take on Joseph in unprecedented teams, where it is fucking Victor and Ichibi. And as ever, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.